How does the 9.3R compare to other light weapons? Is it viable compared to the meta light options that we are using right now? I'm going to break down the stats of the gun, along with giving you some valuable advice on using this weapon. Thank you to my members, I appreciate you. And if you'd like to support, consider becoming a member today. Comment below how you feel about the 9.3R and what you think is the strongest weapon in the light class. And be sure to subscribe for more content on the finals. So the meta for light has been the LH1 and the XP54. Other picks are kind of decent, but these two have definitely shined above the rest. The LH1 has changed, but the XP54 got a very small nerf around its hipfire accuracy when moving during the early Season 2 patch. Now let's take a look at these stats. First, we have the XP54, which is a very solid kind of medium range SMG. And we next have the LH1, which is a very good long-range weapon, bringing the best TTK at long range. Both weapons play a specific role in how you position and play. They aren't the best for close range, however, in those cases, the M11 and the V9S can be very solid picks. So let's take a look at the 9.3R stats and see how it stacks up. For damage, we get 24, an RPM of 1020 with a delay of 0.235, a magazine size of 21. This gives us a damage per magazine of 504, a rather quick reload at 1.75 and 1.45, depending on if your magazine is empty or not. Now let's get into what people really come here for, which is to compare the time to kill. So versus light, we get a 0.71, versus medium, we get 1.12, and then when we are facing heavy, we get a 1.53. This gives the 9.3R one of the worst time to kills outside of the sniper and the throwing knives, which I would say have very different playstyles, and the TTK isn't as relevant, especially when the sniper is meant to play more for headshots, and these aren't really automatic weapons. And the throwing knives also kind of has a sort of in and out playstyle, which is why it kind of has more of like a burst kind of potential. Now, the 9.3R is a burst weapon, but it isn't necessarily an in and out type of TTK that we're looking at here. TTK is actually very important when making a decision on which weapon to use, and when you stack it up to other automatic weapons, this is the worst choice to pick on paper. But let's get into other stats. Maybe it has some redeeming qualities. Let's compare the range with other weapons here. So 15 to 22.5 is the range, and then 67 is the damage modifier at its max range, which makes this actually one of the worst range options. The only thing worse is the M11 and the V9S, but the M11 has such a good starting point for damage that it actually would still win in a TTK war at longer ranges. Honestly, at the moment, I highly recommend just never using this weapon. It is easily one of the worst weapons in the game. There is no strengths to it. It has one of the lowest damage per magazines, a burst recoil that is pretty difficult to control, especially when you are trying to control at medium to long range, has horrible range at that, very horrible DPS, basically all ranges, and the reload is good, but the V9S just has a better reload and is overall just a better close range pick by a landslide. Normally I'd recommend a loadout, but there's just no strengths that really complement this weapon. If you're feeling brave, feel free to swap out whatever light weapon you're currently using and just enjoy the punishment. Let's hope in the future this weapon gets looked at. I know many people have been begging for a buff since its release. Let's hope Embark buffs this weapon and some other weak weapons that have got no love for quite some time. Be sure to avoid using this weapon, and I will see you in the finals.